Live from Midland, Odessa, and Big Spring, this is ABC Big 2 News at 6.
That was one of the most horrific days that I think this area has ever seen, if not the most horrific. That is, I'll take that day to my grave.
Honestly, there was fear in my mind, in my heart, for the citizens of the county, the civilians out there that had no idea what was going on. It's still painful, still painful.
I think that was the hardest part, was how could somebody from our community do that to people from our community.
Healing is a process. I don't know that we'll ever be totally healed. I do know that we've learned from it. I do know it's taught us to hold on tighter and to love more. I know it's told us to expect the unexpected.
Seeing the innocence of Odessa being ripped, the equivalent to having your security at home being ripped, but also a compassion and a love for this community that I had never felt before.
4 years on, it still seems like it happened yesterday. And so we've all had to adjust how we think, how we feel, how we conduct our business day to day, and hopefully how we appreciate the people around us.
Anytime we have anything significant in our city, in our community, we always pull together and help each other. And we've done that for years, and I love that about us.
Thank you for joining us tonight for ABC Big 2 News at 6 as we look back on the tragic mass shooting 4 years ago today on August 31st, 2019. I'm Madeline Bierster. This morning at sunrise, people from across the community came together for a sunrise service honoring the lives of the 7 people that were killed on that tragic day.
They often talk about our angels. We call the people that helped us that day our angels because we believe that's exactly what they were. They were sent by God.
We heard music today as well, and in the days following the shooting, UTPB hosted a healing ceremony. And there was dance, there was music, and it really spoke to the healing power of art. So this memorial, as an art piece, gives people a place to come and reflect and honor the people we've lost and grieve and most importantly heal. And it gives us a focal point, somewhere we can just sit and we can see those names and we can see what the family members have said about them and remember and then move forward.
So I want to challenge you, our committee wants to challenge you, as you go out into our beautiful town today in neighboring communities lit by God's given light. Find a way to spread it with those around you in honor of all this day stands for. And unfortunately, this day it does stand for loss. So I encourage you to spread the light in honor of Joe and Mary, Raul and Layla, Cameron, Rodolfo, and Edwin. Spread their light out into this community in honor of the lives that they lived and the loved ones that they left behind.
Tonight, we're also remembering those who lost their lives. Mary Granados, the 29-year-old, was on her mail route when her mail van was hijacked. She was shot and killed. Edwin Peregrino, he ran out of his parents' home when he heard gunshots ring out and was killed instantly. Joe Griffith, he was shot and killed inside his truck with his entire family. The group on their way to take family photos. Raul Garcia, the 35-year-old El Paso man, was on his way to spend time with his kids when he was gunned down. Cameron Brown, the Army vet, was working in Odessa when he was killed. Rodolfo Arco, the man was also known as Rudy, he was driving home from work when he was also shot and killed. The youngest victim of the tragedy, Layla Hernandez. The 15-year-old was a sophomore at Odessa High School and a member of the basketball program. The death of the Ector County ISD student caused local Representative Brooks Landgraf, who joins us now in studio, to pass the Layla Hernandez Act that establishes an active shooter alert system in Texas. Thank you so much for joining us today, Representative.
Happy to be here.
What does this mean to you?
Well, the Layla alerts that were established under the Texas Active Shooter Alert System mean a lot to this community because within hours of the mass shooting that we're marking 4 years ago today, that was the feedback that I was getting from constituents. And so many people had the same idea. You know, how come we have Amber Alerts, things like that, but there was nothing to communicate this emergency situation to us. And so we took all of those great ideas, and then Layla Hernandez's mother, Joanna Leyva, also came forward and said, this is really what I would like to see as a grieving mother come out of this tragedy. And so we went to work immediately getting that bill drafted to establish the active shooter alert system. Immediately passed it at the next opportunity. It had unanimous support in the Texas House and the Texas Senate. And so, you know, that was something productive that came out of such a dark and tragic day. And hopefully we never have to use it. It's designed to be utilized in a mobile mass shooter situation like the one that we saw 4 years ago. So hopefully it's not needed, but if it is, I think it's something that will absolutely save lives.
What was that day like for you?
It was simultaneously the darkest day in this region's history and the brightest day. Obviously, the lives that were tragically lost, those 7 individuals, some of whom were from here, others who weren't, but they're all going to be etched on our hearts in this community forever. It was unspeakable tragedy that we saw, and of course we never thought that it would happen in our own community, but it did. But then the light that shone through immediately, I mean, that same day where strangers were giving everything and anything that they had, even their own blood, for the help of others, the way that law enforcement responded to the tragedy, the way that nurses and physicians and hospital personnel accommodated everybody. We saw the best, you know, before the sun set that day. And so, you know, even though it's 4 years ago, it seems like it was just yesterday in a lot of respects, but I think that it did bring our community and our communities closer together. But of course, we'll never forget those who we lost.
And then if there's one message you could give our viewers at home on this somber day, what would that be?
You know, I think it's important just to remember, you know, what it is that makes us a community, what it is that brings us together, that we have more in common than what separates us, and that we always have neighbors who are in a time of need, and that we should always just look for opportunities as neighbors, as loved ones, as friends, to help those in need, whether it's on a dark day like the one that we're marking 4 years ago, or any day. We can always be a better neighbor.
Thank you so much for joining us, Representative. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
To honor those who lost their lives, the Bright Stars Memorial is going to pay tribute to 7 people who died on that tragic day.
The memorial itself, the art piece, is finished. Jim Sanborn did an incredible job creating something that is very powerful and will allow people to go and have a place to grieve and to heal.
It's set up to go on the campus of UTPB in a newly built plaza.
The construction and the design and all the approvals always take longer than you think.
You know, we started work on this almost immediately. We put out a call for artists that went out nationwide. We had over 100 artists from across the United States apply. Jim Sanborn came up with what I thought was an incredibly moving piece, and work with UTPB and the city of Odessa to create something for the community has just been very satisfying. And now that the art piece is finished, we're very eager to get the landscaping done so we can install it and people can come and see it for themselves.
The artwork is expected to be finished in time for next year's sunrise ceremony.
While art is something beautiful to look at, it also serves a purpose, and this particular piece of art will help our community heal.
Now, a lot has changed since this day 4 years ago, including the daily lives of many across West Texas. We sat down with the Family Resiliency Center, who says it's going to take time to heal.
So August 31st of 2019 was, I guess, the day that the community changed forever. None of us really expected it. I think we were all kind of in this place of feeling like it wouldn't happen here. Right after the event happened, we saw the community come together like I had not seen it before. There was a heightened or renewed sense of camaraderie and friendship and compassion, and the community outlook, I guess, kind of changed. We all got a little bit closer than we were. We started paying attention to our neighbors a little bit more. Healing is a process, and you're never gonna forget. And I think if you can't forget, then the healing will always feel a little bit undone, right, or incomplete. But as we process, as we talk about our feelings and we kind of work through them and we give ourselves permission to feel them and then choose different feelings to replace them. So instead of being angry, right, maybe we get to the place where we forgive. And that's hard, and it's not something that happens overnight. It's not necessarily something that happens within 4 years. For some people, that will be a lifelong journey. The more we talk about it and the more we focus on moving forward and working together to heal, I think it will be better for people.
Our local health professionals played a huge role in the recovery process across our community. We asked Medical Center hospital staff as they look back on this day, how have things changed in the time since?
You know, I think we look at crisis a little different now. You know, you always think it can't happen to you. You know, a lot of people always thought that drills were a waste of time and a waste of resources, but we drill now, we still drill, and it has a different feeling to it because we know that it can happen. And I think it's changed our safety aspect, our safety plans, and I think it's made us all just look at life a little differently and just to know how short life really is and how quickly things can change. You know, we prepare for all situations now with a little more enthusiasm because we've seen it happen. You know, you always think things like this won't happen in your town, they won't happen to your hospital, they won't happen to your community. And when it does, it lets you know that you better be ready because in a blink of an eye things can change and we've got to be prepared for all of it.
We can't forget our first responders who put their lives on the line that day. Their unwavering courage and selfless ability to run towards danger was present on August 31st. Many of our local officers were on the scene when the gunman was wreaking havoc across our area and didn't hesitate to do what they needed to do to protect West Texans. Tonight we talked to the many who say the weight of the anniversary is not lost upon them.
Nobody had ever planned for a mobile shooter like that anywhere. Unfortunately, we were the first ones to endure that, and since that has occurred, there's been more training.
That situation was a lot different than we're normally used to, that we normally run on. Of course, it was for everybody. We pulled together as a team and worked until everything was done and accounted for.
As a police department, we're much more aware of those types of things. You know, I think at that point we were focused on fighting crime, and now we fight crime, but we're also more focused on making sure that everyone's secure and safe.
With any situation involving mass casualties and an ongoing, evolving incident, it's going to be frustrating. There's obviously an overt sense of urgency. We're trying to find the perpetrator and stop his action. So I think from a personnel standpoint, it was just an overwhelming desire to locate the suspect and neutralize the threat.
Bad things like that tend to bring people together more. It brought us all together as agencies. It brought our communities together as family, communities, neighbors.
While law enforcement officers continue to cope with the anniversary, many things have changed at police departments across West Texas.
You know, we have a real-time crime center with a wall of video boards that we can track things that are going on in the city. Then we didn't have that. You know, I sat in that very room on August 31st with a pen and a pad of paper trying to piece the puzzle together. We had no cameras that we had access to around the city that could have helped track us. We didn't have license plate readers at that time that would help us track. We have all those things now.
We've got the new training going on right now, the alert training, active shooter training that every peace officer in the state of Texas is required to attend, and it's good training. Training like that builds confidence in situations that has arisen, you know, in many areas throughout the country. training builds confidence, and that's what we need. We need somebody to go in there and take care of business right now if something goes down.
We've done training with law enforcement entities in the city, the sheriff's office, OPD, the school district. We've trained with both hospitals and active shooter drills. We've done, I believe we've done 4 or 5 of those already this year alone. So we focus on that. We know it's important, and I have no doubt that if and when the time comes, we're going to handle it like it needs to be handled.
Every officer we talked to wanted to make it clear for everyone at home, you make a big impact on the safety of our community.
It's obviously very heartfelt, very warming to know that as a huge community, the Permian Basin, in Texas and the United States for that matter, that we can all come together as humans, as citizens, to mourn the loss of loved ones and those we've never met, but undoubtedly understand what their families are feeling at this time. It's just tragic that it occurred. And again, our goal should always be to prevent those things from happening.
Just keep all those families of those family members that lost their lives that day, and let's reflect on them and honor them, and make sure that everybody knows that those folks didn't die in vain. We pray for them each and every day.
There are several ways you can show your support on this tragic day. Organizers are encouraging you to wear yellow today, or do a random act of kindness, or just find a way to give back to your community. If you want another look at any of the stories you heard here tonight, just head over to yourbasin.com. We'll be right back with a look at weather right after this quick break.